All right, so that was that. Other. Let's talk about other WAN topologies. For this, I'm just going to concentrate on what's called the last mile. The last mile is that last bridge between the POP or the switching office to the customer. Okay? So for the most part, if we talk about, once we get to the POP, the inter-exchange carriers, this stuff is handled the same way by everybody. Phone company, cable company, everybody else is going to use more or less the same kind of fiber going between stuff. Now we're talking about just getting to the last mile. Okay. So number one, DSL. So DSL, I already told you, this uses the same copper wire as a voice. Okay? So this uses the same wires that the phone company already had at your house. That saves them money. We don't have to pull new cable. Right? So by doing DSL, the phone company doesn't have to pull new cable. Does anyone know that what the phone companies are doing if they want to pull new cable? What do they call that service? Well, I will tell you then. If they want to pull new cable, they're going to put in fiber. And that service is called, at least here, we have what's called Fios. Okay? So when Verizon puts in Fios in a neighborhood, they're actually pulling new cable, and it's a fiber optic cable to going to people's houses. Okay? So they like DSL because it uses the same copper wire as they had already. But again, if they're going to put new cable, they're going to put in fiber. Oops, cable TV. If you're a cable company and you want to provide internet service, you use the same coaxial cable that you used for cable TV. Okay? So this is another cable that we already had, that they had already had pulled to people's houses. Now, the thing about cable TV, though, is these guys are a star topology, or an extended star even. Remember we talked about the houses? Each different house has its own copper wire, and they all meet together, but they're still one. Each house has its own wire. For cable, all the houses are plugged into the same coaxial cable. What's that topology? Bus topology. So here the bandwidth is shared. This is why Cox tells you up to, well, one of the reasons they tell you, up to 40 megabits per second. Because if your neighbor's running at the same time, you are getting 40 megabits per second. So it's a bus topology. Speaking of which, they used to just run the cable down the street, so they'd have, every different house. And what happened is eventually so many people are using the same bandwidth that they start complaining and they don't want to sign up for cable internet service. So what would you do if you were the cable company? So right now you're going to have to run, you might have a fiber here. So you run a fiber to the office. Oops. Here's what I would do. I'm just going to go here and I'm going to cut this cable and I'm going to run a fiber from here. You guys see that? So every time they do that, it's essentially sort of segmenting the network. Remember we talked about subnets, right? They split off a little part and split off another little part. So to fight their bus topology, they just split the bus up into smaller pieces. So that one's fun.
How does FiOS work in comparison to that?
FiOS is a star topology too. So there's, all the fibers in a neighborhood are going to one central point. And so your house, at least, you might share whatever connection comes out of that point. But to your house, you have an exclusive connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a little.
Yeah, they do share. So FiOS is a little more like this, extended star, where this might be a neighborhood and everyone's connecting into it, and then you get that. Where these guys, it's a fiber and then a bus in the neighborhood. They're just stuck. One other comment on both DSL and cable, and I'll just write this here. They are what's called asymmetric. It's not asymmetric, sorry. There's only one S there. Asymmetric. Ha 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 ha. Asymmetric means more bandwidth is there for download than upload. Okay? So DSL and cable are generally asymmetric. So when you buy your 40 megabit per second connection from the cable company, they're doing it on the download speed. Your upload might be 1 megabit per second or less. Because what they're expecting you is to bring down more data. You're going to be watching YouTube videos, downloading a lot of pictures on the internet. So you're not doing a lot of email attachments. That's the one that really kills me. If I'm uploading, sometimes I upload a lot when I'm working at home. Like if I'm working on a class outline or whatever, I have to upload that stuff to the ODU website. And so sometimes it takes a while. So that's, yeah. So if you don't have big email attachments, asymmetric makes a lot of sense. That's for consumers. Okay.